Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to have you here today. Okay, so we're going to dive right into this because we're looking at a fantastic, really systematic roadmap for a journey that so many people want to take, but honestly just don't know how to start. We're talking about crossing that vital bridge from basic, everyday saving to active investing. If you've ever felt like your financial habits just kind of need a next step, you are in the exact right place. Right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room. You might have some money sitting safely in your bank account, right? And you know you should probably be doing something more with it. But then that little voice creeps in. Wait, what if I lose money? It's incredibly common to have idle savings but feel totally paralyzed about taking the next step into the market purely because of the fear of the unknown. And look, that fear is totally normal, but we can't let it keep us frozen. So you find yourself asking the big question, should I keep saving or should I actually start investing? Well, what I love about the source material we're breaking down today is just how directly it answers this. It literally pivots us straight from fear into action. But it doesn't just push you into the deep end without a life vest. Instead, it lays out a very clear step-by-step foundation that you absolutely must build before you even think about entering the market. So here's our game plan for today. 1, the savings dilemma. 2, building your safety net. 3, the basics of investing. 4, playing the long game. And 5, your financial action plan. Section 1, the savings dilemma. Idle money and the fear of the unknown. You know, most people save, but their money just sits there, completely idle. There's a core difference here we really need to understand. Saving provides essential financial stability. It's safe, it's reliable. Investing, on the flip side, is what helps your money actually grow over time. But, and this is a big but, it inherently involves risk. Grasping this trade-off, stability versus growth potential, is truly your very first step. Moving on to Section 2, building your safety net, protection before growth. Our source establishes a strict, non-negotiable rule. You must establish a small emergency fund before you invest. Why? Well, because life happens. The guide specifically points out things like a sudden car repair, a surprise medical bill, or, heaven forbid, a job loss. You need cash readily available for these moments. If you don't have it, you might be forced to panic sell your investments during an emergency just to keep your head above water, and nobody wants that. But how much is enough? The guide gives us a highly tangible goal. Aim to save enough to cover a few months of your important living expenses. Now, what's genuinely reassuring about this is that the source explicitly says you don't have to reach this goal overnight. You start with what you can afford, and you intentionally, methodically build it over time. To actually get there, you've got to understand your budget. It's a required prerequisite to finding any investable cash. The guide breaks down tracking your monthly cash flow into 3 really straightforward steps. First, write down exactly how much money you earn. Second, track exactly where your money goes. Every coffee, every subscription. Third, calculate how much you genuinely have left over after paying for your basic essential needs. If you do that math and the number left over is tiny, do not get discouraged. Even if it's just $50 a month, start right there. Creating that consistent habit is vastly more important than the initial dollar amount you're putting in. As your income grows later on, or maybe your expenses decrease, you can always bump that amount up. Which brings us to Section 3. The basics of investing. Education before action. Okay, so once your safety net is totally secure, you're ready for the next step. But let's demystify what investing actually means. Investing is simply putting money into assets that may grow in value over time. It sounds incredibly simple, right? But it represents a massive fundamental shift from just hoarding cash to actually putting your cash to work for you. But we do have to grapple directly with this quote from the text. Unlike saving, investing involves risk, and there is no guarantee that you will make money. This is exactly why the source insists, really emphasizes that beginners need to focus heavily on learning before making any sudden, flashy decisions. You have to respect the risk if you want to navigate it properly. Section 4, playing the long game. Consistency over timing. So how exactly do we play the long game? Well, instead of trying to hunt down the next hot stock, which, let's be real, is a massive trap so many beginners fall into, the text suggests learning about a few core pillars. 1, long-term investing. 2, diversification, which is basically not putting all your eggs in one basket. And 3, how different investments actually function. These are the concepts that build a truly bulletproof foundation. And from those foundational concepts, the guide extracts one incredibly simple yet crazy powerful idea. Invest a fixed amount regularly. Rather than trying to perfectly time the market, which is basically impossible anyway, you just pick a fixed dollar amount and you put it in every single month, like clockwork. When you stack consistent investing up against emotional decisions, consistency wins every single time. A steady, boring routine builds discipline. It actively protects you from making terrible, emotionally driven choices just because the market had a weird week. Because, let's be honest, those short-term market swings are absolutely going to happen. The guide reminds us that you will see your investments go up and down. Just reflect on this quote. Short-term changes can be stressful, but long-term goals often require patience. It totally validates how nerve-wracking it is to watch your portfolio dip, but it re-anchors you to the absolute necessity of just being patient. Finally, Section 5, your financial action plan, the step-by-step blueprint. All right, here is the ultimate takeaway from the source material. This is the step-by-step blueprint you can literally start using today. 1, create that monthly budget. 2, build up an emergency fund. 3, pay attention to tackling any high-interest debt you might have. 4, start learning the ropes of long-term investing. 5, invest an amount you can afford consistently. And 6, review your plan regularly because, hey, your income and your goals are inevitably going to change over time. Now, it's absolutely vital to note that this blueprint isn't some rigid one-size-fits-all formula. The most important thing is to create a plan that matches your specific reality. It has to be perfectly tailored to your current income, your personal goals, your specific timeline, and, maybe most importantly, your own personal comfort level with risk. And speaking of risk, I need to objectively relay the source's disclaimer right here. The information we've explored today is for educational purposes only. It is not personal financial advice. Investments can and do rise and fall, and future returns are simply never guaranteed. To bring this whole thing together, here is the core thesis of our explainer. You do not need to be rich to begin building better financial habits. You just need to start small, stay incredibly consistent, and keep educating yourself. Saving gives you stability, while investing helps your money grow. When you use both of them together, with real discipline, you create a vastly stronger financial future. So, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought as you take a hard look at your own finances. We've laid out the map. We've talked about building safety nets, getting educated, and playing the long game. The bridge is right there in front of you. So are you ready to take that first step and build a stronger financial future? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. See you next time.